Welcome to A Conversation with History. I'm Harry Chrysler of the Institute of International Studies. Our guest today is James Mattis, who is an Annenberg Fellow at the Hoover Institution and a retired United States Marine Corps general who last served as the 11th Commander of U.S. Central Command. He is on the Berkeley campus this week as the Chester Nimitz Memorial Professor. General Mattis, welcome to Berkeley.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Where were you born and raised?
I was born up in the Pacific Northwest, and I was raised on the banks of the Columbia River in a little town up there that had a combination of agricultural pursuits and nuclear industry. So it was a kind of a tale of two cities.
And looking back, how do you think your parents shaped your thinking about the world?
They had enormous impact on me. They had both traveled around the world. My father had been a merchant mariner. My mother had served overseas in South Africa with Army intelligence in World War II. And they introduced us to a world full of great ideas and not a fearful place, but a place to go enjoy. And probably the most important thing was they never bought a television, but we had a great big library. And so the ideas that were there, we were encouraged to explore. And it shaped my view of learning.
And is that when you became a lifetime learner and a reader of books in addition to being later a warrior?
It certainly had a big impact. I think I was pretty focused on things I enjoyed, like geology, the American West, cowboys, Indians, that sort of thing. But eventually, when I got into a profession, then certainly I knew where I could go for good ideas.
Where were you educated? In Washington?
Yeah, public schools growing up. I went to Central Washington State College for a little over 3 years, and then I went off into the Marines. And
when did you decide to become a professional soldier? Was that an inevitable result of your background?
No, I'd been interested in the Marines since a young age. My older brother was in Vietnam when I enlisted into the reserves, the officer candidate course in particular. And I don't think I had the intention of making it a career at that point. I wasn't closed-minded about it, but it was to go in and do my time. In those days we had the draft, there was little choice, and then look around, see what else was out there.
I like to ask my guests about the skills and temperament involved in your profession. So the first thing I want to ask you along that line of questioning is, what do you see as the skill set and temperament that are really important for a Marine?
Underneath its rather Prussian exterior, we expect people who are very curious. They have got to have a curiosity about life that will carry them beyond any kind of institutional learning. The Marines enjoy having people who are somewhat mavericks, frankly. They protect them, and they find many times that that sort of independent thinking is a big help to our Corps and its mission, which has been heavily into the small wars and the minor interventions. We can always fight the bigger wars, but you have to be ready to fight in any clime or place. And in that regard, there's nothing new really under the sun. You can always find a history book somewhere that can guide you. So there's a strong bent towards intellectual rigor and a historical appreciation of where we're at today. Obviously, physical fitness, Marine officers are expected to be at the top of their game. And then there's another aspect, whether you call it spiritual or emotional or psychological, where you actually see your attitude as a weapon when you go into tough times, and that transmits down through your ranks. So it's a combination of the mental, of the physical, and the spiritual, or as Confucius would put it, body, mind, and spirit.
One of the themes that I identified in your career as a general and as a soldier is learning, a real commitment to learning through time. So what you know today may not be the most useful thing in your new situation. Talk a little about that, because you're suggesting that your soldiers have to have that also.
Yes. I joined the Marine Corps where the Commandant of the Marine Corps has his own reading list. And all Marines at the rank of private will read these 3 or 4 books. Plus there's a couple other additional ones if they're interested. Every corporal reads a different set. Sergeants a different, lieutenants, majors, generals have their own reading list. When they make general, they're not allowed just to fall back on what they already know. They have to read a different set of books. So as a Marine Corps that in a very accountable way, very abrupt way, frankly, I've been under commanders and executive officers who, if you didn't do your reading, you spent the weekend reading the book and reporting to them on Monday morning. So there was an institutional expectation that you would continue to learn. And frankly, over many, many years, I can, for the younger officers who might view this lecture, tell them how they can become 4-star generals. They can fight enemies who are dumber than a bucket full of rocks. And those are generally enemies who have not had the same rigor in pressing themselves to learn from history and to be curious about the world around them. So as a Marine Corps that had that expectation, and the Marine Corps rewarded you institutionally with promotion, with certain plum assignments, if you did that kind of reading.